Have you ever walked through a city where like a 2,000-year-old temple is sitting right next to a super modern cafe? Well, that's Athens for you. Today, we're going to take a trip through time and we're going to use the city's buildings as our map. We'll see how thousands of years of glory, conquest, and rebirth are literally carved into its stone.
Yeah, let's think of the city not just as a place, but as a giant, ancient library. Every single building, every temple, every church, every apartment block, it's a page. And each page tells a story about who built it, and more importantly, why. Some pages are really old and worn, others are brand new, but they're all part of the same incredible book.
So, what are these stories? What can these buildings actually tell us about things like democracy and empire and faith, and what it means to build a modern nation from scratch? Well, let's turn to the first page and find out.
Okay, our story has to start in the 5th century BCE. This is the Athens of Plato and Socrates. It was just this explosion of new ideas in philosophy, politics, and of course, in architecture. And it was all centered on that one iconic high city, the Acropolis.
The signature style back then was Doric, and the Parthenon is just the perfect example. You'll notice it's not super flashy or overly decorated. It's all about strength, perfect proportions, and this deep sense of balance. This style was basically the ancient Greeks capturing their ideals of harmony and order and turning them into stone. And here's the thing you have to understand. The Parthenon wasn't just a temple. It was a statement. It was this physical monument to Athenian confidence, especially after they beat the Persians. It was a monument to their groundbreaking democratic ideals. Every single piece of marble was basically shouting, "This is who we are."
But the Golden Age was so much bigger than just one building. You had the elegant Erechtheion with its famous female-shaped columns, the Caryatids. You had the bustling Agora. That's where democracy actually happened day to day. And these massive hillside theaters. Architecture was woven into every single part of life, from politics to entertainment. So after the Golden Age, Athens didn't just, stop. For over 1,500 years, new empires swept through, and every single one of them added its own architectural chapter to the city's story. And this is where the city's story becomes one of layers. I mean, literally, layers of history built on top of each other. First, the Romans roll in, and they bring their love for massive engineering. Then, the Byzantine Empire comes and totally changes the spiritual landscape with its churches. And finally, the Ottomans introduced their own styles, and they often repurposed older buildings, adding yet another layer to the whole story. And you can really see the different priorities of each empire just by looking at their buildings. The Romans, they were all about massive engineering and showing off of public grandeur. The Byzantines, they focused inward, on faith and these beautiful, intricate interiors. The Ottomans, they added their own unique structures, like mosques, often just adapting whatever was already there. And if you want just one building that tells the entire story of this whole period, you just have to look at the Parthenon. Its identity completely shifted with each new ruler. It went from a temple for the goddess Athena to a Byzantine church for the Virgin Mary, and then to an Ottoman mosque. This one building is like a miniature version of the city's entire layered history. Okay, let's fast forward to the 19th century. Greece finally wins its independence, and Athens, which at the time was just a small town, gets chosen to be the capital. So the big challenge was, how do you build a modern city that's actually worthy of its legendary past? I mean, this was a massive turning point. The vision was so ambitious. They wanted to lay down these wide streets, build grand squares, and put up magnificent public buildings. The whole goal was to design a new European capital that would look back to its ancient glory for inspiration. And the style they chose to do all this? Neoclassicism. And this was a totally deliberate choice. By using the architectural language of ancient Greece, the columns, the symmetry, they were making a really powerful statement. Hey, modern Greece is the direct heir to the Golden Age. And the strategy here was just brilliant. They didn't just build government offices. No, they built centers of knowledge and culture. You've got the National Library, the University, and the Academy. Together, they're called the Athenian Trilogy, and they formed the intellectual heart of the new nation, all of them proudly designed in the style of their ancestors. So what about the Athens of the 20th and 21st centuries? Well, the story gets a little more complex. You have this period of rapid growth that created new challenges, but also eventually some new architectural triumphs. And here you see this really fascinating contrast. The 20th century was pretty much defined by the polykataoikia, these practical, but let's be honest, not always beautiful, concrete apartment blocks that were built really fast for a booming population. But the 21st century has seen a real shift toward these thoughtful, world-class cultural projects that are designed to interact with the city's history.
Two perfect examples are the Acropolis Museum and the Stavros Niarchos Center. The museum doesn't just hold history, it literally floats above it on glass floors, creating this dialogue between the past and the present. And the Cultural Center? Wow, it's this forward-looking masterpiece of green design. Both of them totally respect history while being unapologetically modern. And this is what it all adds up to. Over 2,500 years of continuous history. And it's not locked away in a museum somewhere. It's right there in the streets you're walking on. It's just a staggering, living timeline. So we've taken this journey through all these different eras. Let's pull it all together and really think about the deeper meaning of this incredible architectural story.
To recap, these are the visible layers. And this isn't just some theoretical timeline, right? This is a checklist of things you can physically see, often within just a few blocks of each other. This dense layering is exactly what makes Athens so unique. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? You turn a corner from some bustling modern shop and, bam, you're suddenly face to face with a 2,000-year-old Roman ruin or a quiet little Byzantine church. The past is never far away. It's an active part of the present.
Because ultimately, these buildings aren't just empty shells. They are the city's autobiography, written in stone. The Parthenon tells a story about democracy. The Byzantine churches tell a story about faith. The neoclassical buildings tell a story of independence. And the modern centers, they tell a story of hope for the future. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought. Because, this isn't just about Athens. Every town, every city has its own architectural story. So the next time you're out walking around, just look up. Look at the different styles, the old next to the new, and ask yourself, what stories are these buildings telling me?